Welcome back to another episode of BHAW Radio. I'm your host, Brian Rowan, with Logan Everett and Coach Ward on the show tonight, recapping last week and looking ahead this week, episode 93. Let's go.
93?
93.
Let's rock and roll.
What are we going to do for 100?
I don't know, but we're like, we're just a couple competitions away from getting to 100, so we better start planning this.
I feel like 100 we have to do in person or something.
Let's find a sweet venue for come 100. To the house. We'll do it right here at the house. Let's do listen, you got to plan on.
So we get to do it at your house?
No, Logan, we're all going to go to Virginia and do it at your place.
Hey, that works.
Let's meet up at a more central location.
Let's do it at a competition.
That sounds even better.
Okay. No, man, I'm pumped to be back. We're going to talk some wrestling. We kicked off our season last week or the week before, so we've got some competitions to talk about. We're sitting here talking on Thursday night. We leave tomorrow in preparation for the Journeymen competitions this weekend. So wrestling season's underway, man. We're ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, we can start with the first match. First thing to say is what a pretty cool venue. It looked like from the broadcast anyways. I thought they did a really good job with the broadcast one, but the venue looked pretty cool too. I thought it was pretty cool how they, walk out of the back of the aircraft right straight onto the mat.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It wasn't just cool, it was freezing cold by the time. Yeah, it was so cold. It was like 40 something degrees in there. Yeah, it was cold by the end of the night, but it was cool, man. It was like, we're super grateful for all the people down there at Fort Liberty that made that happen. It was a cool event. So good Southern hospitality while we were there. We worked out in like who was a third special forces groups, like combat room before weigh-ins. They cranked the heat up for us all day. By the time we got there, it was like smoking hot.
That's awesome.
It was good. Yeah, it was some good hospitality. Life on the road wasn't so rough on that trip. And I'm sure we'll get into the wrestling. We wish we could forget most of it, but we have to talk about it. But yeah, cool opportunity, really cool venue and the setting. And hopefully it's, there's not, I'll tell you guys what I told the team. Well, I won't say exactly what I told the team afterwards, but there's not a whole lot of positives and good memories to take away from that competition. But it was a cool setting and a cool opportunity that we had the chance at. And I wish we'd have made more out of the opportunity, but it was cool. Yeah, grateful for everybody that made it happen.
I had no idea. Yeah. Sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
I had no idea. I was thinking UFC Fight Pass. Okay, what's the broadcast going to be like? How well are they going to do this? And then as soon as you get on, it's Shane Sparks and David Taylor, and you're like, whoa, yeah. This is a big deal.
Yeah, and it felt like it.
It was like my first impression.
They did a really good job in their match prep too. I mean, we went through the media, the interviews before, a couple days before, where you'll walk through your lineup, and the commentators were well prepped. So they came across as knowledgeable and knowing about the teams, and I went back and I told our team afterwards to watch it with the volume on, because you have the best wrestler on planet Earth sitting there kind of color commentating your matches. You might pick something up from it. You might learn something from it. So it's a unique perspective where you have somebody who's a complete outsider to our program, knows, David Taylor and I know enough to say hi and say hello to each other, but we don't know each other. He knows, basically nobody that was in our starting lineup. And so to have somebody from a completely outsider's perspective, who just also happens to be the best wrestler on planet Earth, talk about your team and the action and their opinions and perceptions of it, I thought was a pretty valuable take. So, the production was awesome, man. They brought out some major talent with Shane and David Taylor. So, yeah, that part was really cool. I'm glad we thought we had high hopes that they would do it well, and it was well run.
Yeah, I thought he kind of mentioned a few things when he was not frustrations, but you could definitely see his inner coach a little bit kind of coming out in a couple situations, I thought, which was cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And you could tell sometimes he would not say anything for 15 or 20 seconds, and then sometimes he'd apologize, sorry, I was watching the wrestling, forgetting that he's commentating at some points because he's getting really into it. Especially if guys are being more aggressive. You know, if guys are going for attacks, you could see him get a little quiet and then, you know, kind of bounce back.
Cool. Well, what do you want to do? How do you want to talk about that match? You want me to go through weight by weight? We're just going to kind of want to talk about it overall as a
Well,
team.
let's
Wait by
do
wait.
sequential. But first question is, did we draw or did we pick to start at 57?
Well, I mean, yeah, you flip a coin. We won the coin flip. We chose 157.
Okay. Is that how they're doing it now?
Well, that's how they've done it for the past few years. Yeah. So you don't draw toothpicks or, you know, those
Well,
popsicle
it used to
sticks out
be,
of a
right?
cup
If
anymore.
one coach wanted to draw, then you drew.
Well, and that's still the same. So at weigh-ins, either both coaches can agree to start at any weight.
Okay.
And if you don't agree, you flip a coin. The winner of the coin flip either gets starting weight class or odd or even. And and that's how it works. So yeah, we won the coin flip. We like starting at 157. I still like starting at 157, and we'll probably continue to do that.
Yeah, so I mean, Lucas got on the board early. It looks like, you know, first minute takedown, and then ended up losing 9-6 in overtime.
Yeah, he had a couple.
Kind
He
of
came
off
out.
one of his shots. It seemed like right there at the end.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a shot, but
Well,
yeah.
attack.
I mean, yeah, it was something. Look, I mean, Nate came out firing. He set a good example, set the tone early on, and then here's what happened: is the other guy chose top, got in a position where he almost got some back points, and it looked like it just, you know, it looked like it just kind of flustered Nate a little bit, and he never regained his composure after that, which is unlike him, you know. And it happened then, and I can guarantee you that will not happen again. I have no concerns over it, but he just kind of he got flustered and got rattled and wasn't able to get himself centered again, and then just made some uncharacteristic mistakes that you don't expect him to make. So, I mean, that's what happened. I've seen it before. I mean, I've coached really, really good wrestlers that have been, you know, even like seasoned vets like him that have been in similar situations. And I was telling Nate the other day, I remember Dallas Smith, who I coached at Washita, who's like ranked #1 in the country at the time. We have a dual meet at home against Lindenwood, and we have a chance to beat them. And I think Dallas got like tech falled in the dual meet. Like he was ranked first in the country and got tech falled just because he got hit in something early on and just kind of unraveled. And then he goes on to, you know, he's 4-time All-American and national champion. Like that was just one match and it happened. And then you learn from it. It doesn't happen again. Just got a little bit emotional and responded in a way that, you know, you can't do. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm not concerned at all about Nate. I'm not concerned at all about starting at 157 every single match the rest of the year. I love him. I like his example, and we're going to continue to do it. So I think that's what happened there.
Yeah, I think we expect everybody that would listen to this would expect a big bounce back from him.
Well, you know, it's
this weekend.
Not the phrase that I would use, Logan, but you know, like I would say, bounce back to what? Why do you want to bounce back? Like back to what? Back to where you were before? Don't you want to be better? Don't you want to move forward? You know, let that make you better. Don't bounce back to anything. Move forward. Let it make you better. So move forward through it. Yeah, no, his training's going well. He'll be fine. So yeah, we drew 57, and then, you know, there's not a whole lot to say with Harkins and his match at 65. There just wasn't a whole lot that happened. I thought some of his hand fightings and stuff that we've really been working on worked really well. Maybe didn't capitalize on it enough. So just building on that, like making sure that he capitalizes more on the opportunity that he creates for himself, because he creates more opportunities than the scoreboard showing right now. But you got to capitalize on them or it doesn't matter. So I think that, you know, that's the focus with Harkins at 65. It's just capitalize on the opportunities that you have and punch the gas just a little bit more when you have opportunities to score.
Yeah, he competed well. I think he's definitely better than a takedown, better than that guy. Just from watching it, I think, you know, but he did a really good job of not putting himself in a bad position. You know, maybe when he was younger, that's a match that gets away from him a little bit there at the end. So
yeah, that's a good point. He had to keep his composure and you know, not try to force something out of desperation. So yeah, he did. He kept his composure, and yeah, he got his hand raised. So good job.
174 freshman. I think this was his first first crack at the lineup here, obviously as
Yeah.
a freshman, but Gunner,
Yeah.
I thought he competed really hard. I mean, interested to hear your comments on what you felt there at 74.
He competed the way that we expected to. He's like, and he competes with a lot of energy. He does everything with a lot of energy. He's a very excitable. Um, he's just a lot of fun to coach because he brings a lot of energy and he really cares about it. So, I mean, I thought in person, I was really close to throwing the challenge brick. Watching it on film, I wish I would have thrown the challenge brick, but even so, I'm not sure they would have overturned it. I don't think it was a takedown beyond reaction time, but I mean, how's the ref? The ref's probably not gonna, overturn their own call there. So I thought Gunner wrestled really hard. What happened there late in the match was he let the guy slow him down. Like, I mean, the guy was tired. The guy didn't want to try to score anymore. Just wanted to keep Gunner from scoring, and Gunner let that guy do some things that slowed him down. So we've been working on those as an individual. We've been working on that as a team too. So, listen, he moved forward. He bounced forward.
He bounced forward.
He just won the Princeton Open this past weekend. So he competes with a lot of energy. He's got a huge gas tank. He's strong and he really wants to win. So he's fun to watch. We're gonna like him.
Yeah, I will admit, it took me a few matches to get used to the 3 points. Especially the first one. As the points were coming up on the board in Lucas's match, I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of an adjustment, I think, and I'm sure you guys are a little bit more used to it because I would expect at some point in the room you guys have been keeping score. So,
I mean,
for
at
us,
some point in the room, we finally stopped yelling too, if that matters.
yeah. Well, I've
For
heard
the
a lot
most
of people
part.
yell it in live matches. Still, it's gonna linger for a while.
Yeah. No, it's the points are, whatever. It's the rules that we have. We've been through this before, but I'm in favor of it. So 3. No, it's 3.
Yeah.
That's it. It's 3. So yeah, that's what we got.
Okay, so at 84, Ben Pasuk up from 74 last year.
Yep.
I don't know, maybe 8-0 isn't indicative of how the match played out, but
The new scoring it is.
Maybe kind of got away from him a little bit. I mean, I don't think his best performance, but one we expect him to bounce forward from.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was. I mean, no, he's a senior. It's obviously not his best performance, and I mean, bonus points are going to happen more this year as a result of inflated scoreboard because I mean you get more points for a takedown. So yeah, look, man, he got major decision to happen. It's part of it. And no, I don't think he performed well. He did a couple things all right. He got a little dinged up in his match, and I know that got into his head mentally a little bit and kind of slowed him down. Look, no excuse. The guy beat him. The guy wrestled a smart match, and here's what happened: is we got to the guy's legs a couple times, didn't score. He got to our legs twice, scored both times. You're not going to win. Like it's not going to happen. So, but again, some learning things. Like I mean, that's what we need. That's why we need competitions because it's hard for us to learn some of those things in the wrestling room. Where, I mean, nobody's going to beat Ben Pazook in the wrestling room. Who's going to beat him? We got to rotate guys in on him for guys to beat him. So some of the lessons that we need to learn the most, you have to learn from competition. So we take that as a lesson learned, make some adjustments, and move forward.
It almost seemed like he was surprised by how strong he was, like and how big like 84-pounders were. Like I feel like the shots he was getting in, like he was in deep finishing those against 74-pounders, and like guy was getting his hips out and like countering those shots. And that's one specific match, but I don't know if that came up. That was something I thought I saw.
You'd have to ask him if he felt that way. I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, no. Ben stepped on the scales weighing 184 pounds. He's the same size as everybody else in the country that wrestles 184 pounds. So no excuse there. Yeah. I mean, no, that never got brought up. Like, I mean, you are your weight class, so it's not even worth talking about. You'd have to ask Ben if he thought that, and I'd be surprised if his answer was yes. But I mean, like I said, it's just a performance that it didn't go his way. It's one match, and we get a few more matches coming up, and I'm sure he's ready to wrestle those. Let's move up. We'll go to the next weight, 97, Danny Lawrence. Yeah, okay, Danny. And Danny is a little bit, he's not a big 197, but you don't have to be big at 197 either. Like you can be a small 197 and still, I mean, look at Truax last year at Cal Poly. He was weighing in at like 191, 192 at the NCAA tournament, smashing people. Eating. I mean, I'm sitting next to the kid in the bleachers and he's eating whatever he wants before weigh-ins, and he still weighs in at like 192. You don't have to be big at 197. It might help sometimes, but anyways, no excuse. It's just a matter of just execute on some things. And, Danny's a guy that he's a senior and has some experience, but he's a guy that you have to keep reteaching as well. He's not a guy that, wrestling for him, he learns the hard way. And he's not somebody you can coach and teach something one time and they're going to retain it and do it every match. Some people you can do that. He's not one of them. You just have to keep reminding him of some of the basic things more than others. And, I think it's just on us as coaches to make sure that he's prepared in every situation. So, I mean, but that's a nationally ranked guy. He's wrestling and he's right there with them. And then just, we didn't get away in the third period. And then to make it worse, we got cradled. So you can't, that can't happen. But the gap is not as big as the scoreboard said it was, or it doesn't have to be. So, I mean, I'm still very confident in Danny Lawrence and what he can do. It's just maybe a little bit of a reminder for us as coaches that we've got to stay on him about some things and just be very consistent and persistent and consistent with what we teach and coach Danny to do. So
heavyweight.
Okay, heavyweight really was a game time decision. And I thought like the way the dual meet started, with Nate getting beat and then Gunnar getting beat, Ben getting beat, Danny getting beat, I was like, all right, this dual meet is probably out of hand. Like it's going to be really hard to win this dual meet from this point. And I thought like Stoddard maybe had the best chance to somehow win that match. And I thought Kohlhofer would have a closer bout with the guy, but Kohlhofer wrestled him last year, so I wanted to see Stoddard up against him, and we saw it. Now their heavyweight is really good, and he's athletic and strong, and he can
very athletic.
Yeah, and you don't know this because the match was so short, but he can wrestle hard later on in matches too. So I mean, that's a quality opponent that we had, and for somebody like Lucas, that's a freshman, you're like, okay, go get a feel for it. And I'll tell you this about Lucas Stoddard: he's really smart. And I don't mean just like book smart, which he is. He does well in school, but he's a smart wrestler with the questions that he asks and the things that he learns. So I've stayed confident with him that he can apply lessons. It's just, hey, we got to be patient and bring our freshmen along. I was talking to the staff after, or a couple of days after the duel, and I said, hey, look, let's not forget that, I hate to bring this up for Bob if he's listening, but like Bobby Hill's freshman year, he lost to a backup 197 pounder against Bucknell, and we lost the dual meet, and then, 3 years later, Bobby Hield is exactly what you want every Army wrestler to be. He had the mentality as a freshman. He had the mentality as a senior. He just had to learn and progress and get better. And I think Lucas is the same way. He's got to get better. But he's got the attitude that we like. So just got to be patient but persistent, and he'll learn and he'll get better. He has the right attitude, and that's something you can't teach, but you can damn sure work with it and coach it.
All right, so coming around the turn here, 125, we got back on the board with Bergen. Had an opportunity up 6-0 at one point. I want to say it ended 6-1.
Yeah, I think so. I think we cut him there up 6-0, trying to, just chase some bonus points. And I mean, for him personally, that's what he needs to do. And for us as a team, you're always chasing bonus points and dual meets. And yeah, I mean, Ethan really was never in danger. He out wrestled the guy in every position. He just didn't force enough wrestling in his positions. He's in on the legs a couple times on the edge of the mat. The kid keeps dropping to a knee and staying on the edge of the mat. And interestingly enough, I mean, this ref didn't make a single traditional stall call the entire dual meet. He made a couple edge of the mat stall calls, and maybe like a 5 count, referee's position, but there were no traditional stall calls in all 10 matches. So that's good for us. We need to feel that. So reps are going to call things different ways, but this is one that would let you be a little bit more defensive, drop to a knee, get your butt on the edge, and stay there without really being penalized. And that's what happened. And we're also going to have that at the EIWA national tournaments. So we got to learn how to open some guys up when we do that. So I know that's Ethan's focus is, don't get frustrated by it and find ways to open up there.
Have you seen, just from the first weekend, have you seen any of the stalling on top get called more?
Well, it just depends. It's completely different from match to match. So we're wrestling a match at the Princeton tournament. One of our guys, Andrew Christie's wrestling a kid from Hofstra, and Andrew's on top and gets called for stalling. And then the next period, the other guy's on top and gets called for stalling. And the other coach and I were talking after the match, and we were like, I have no idea why either guy got called for stalling. Like, my guy shouldn't have got called. Their guy should not have gotten called. And then other matches, you can put a leg in, you can lay on them still. So, I mean, it's right now at this point pretty inconsistent. They'll straighten it out, I hope.
Yeah, it takes time.
I mean, but it was like, it's all over the map right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Braden
Sorry,
Basil.
That made me think about that.
By the way, I don't know on the show if I've said basil or basil or what, or basile or what. It's basil, like the herb. So
okay, good to know.
Yeah. So, and I had to ask him before the dual meet because I have to go tell the announcer. He's like, yeah, it's basil, like the herb. And I'm like, hey, great, got it.
Good to know.
Remember that. Yeah. So, okay, Braden, spotting somebody, a few takedowns early on makes it tough to come back. But I mean, look, you will look at that match and you're like, you come back and you score, the last 2 takedowns. We lose 12-10, but the guy got an extra point because we wrestled, like a little bit on the edge. I don't care. Most refs aren't going to give the team point away for that right there. But I mean, we got out wrestled the match, whatever. We won the battle of effort there at the end, and you can grow from that. So, I mean, I'm not happy with, with the way the match started, but I'm really excited about how much the kid will compete. So that was good. Moving to 41, I thought that Zach Keel won everything except the wrestle match. And once it clicks with Zach Keel, he will be super dangerous. He is very good. It's just, wrestling's hard, man. And sports are hard and wrestling's hard. And we've all been there where maybe you're just not feeling it the way that you want to. I think that's where Zach's at in his career right now, is he's just not as confident because he's not feeling things the way that he wants to right now. But he's so capable and he's so talented. He probably out wrestled his opponent. He out hustled him. Body language was better. Attack rate was higher. Everything was better, except the scoreboard. So some things that, that Zach's a junior and he's got to help, we got to help him, but he's got to figure these things out as well. He's got to answer some questions about what he wants to do and how he wants to remember his career. And the thing about him is he's so good that it could happen overnight. It could literally happen overnight. He could be a different wrestler today than he is tomorrow. Just by mentally okay, I got it. So he's going to get plenty more opportunities because I have a lot of belief and confidence in him. And we're going to give him more opportunities to go out there and show everybody else what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, I thought going into overtime, I felt pretty good about it. Even overtime starts and that guy's kind of just backing up, not really doing anything. And I was like, it seems like he was on his heels.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't go our way there at the end, but 49 did go our way with Trey.
Yeah. And I'm pretty tough on Trey because I think he could be so good. So I'm a tough critic on him. And my initial reaction to that match was, score more points. Because I think Trey felt like he was really in control of the match the entire time. And I'm like, hey, if you're that in control, then score more points. But at the same time, I get it. It's a dual meet where you just watched, 7 of the 9 teammates before you just get beat up. And you're the last one there. The team can't win. It's just about, go out there and wrestle for yourself at that point. You're representing your team, but your team can't win. So I think he did a pretty good job. A solid start for sure. Nothing to be disappointed about, but I just have high expectations. And for him because I know how good he can actually be. So I'm tough on Trey, just because I know he can be really good.
So match ends 25-9. Really cool event. Is there any talk about the future of that event and do we
No,
fit in
no, we
that?
didn't talk about it, and I'm not there mentally to be able to talk about it. I mean, right now, I think,
Okay.
to be honest with you, that trip was a waste of time, a waste of money, and the waste of an opportunity, and it was a complete waste. So, I'm not there yet where I can talk about going and trying to do that thing again. We need to see a little bit more. We need to see our team move forward and bounce forward from that before I start thinking about doing something like that again. But yeah, I mean, that's the sour taste, is that it was just complete freaking waste in every way. Maybe it ends up not being that way, but just as a competitor, that's the way I look at it. It's like we laid an egg and high expectations and high hopes, and not the team I expected to see compete. Haven't talked about this since the Thursday team meeting after we got back or whatever, but that's the way I feel about it. But I sound like I haven't moved on. I promise you I've moved on, because I have to, because we leave tomorrow and we have more competitions coming up. But yeah, we're not talking about that competition next year yet.
It sounds like you guys, like, you learned a lot from it. Like, you learned a lot about the individuals though, and you like took that away from it. Is that, you kind of talked about those were the positives before, like not necessarily doing that event, but you think you would have learned those in a different competition, maybe more local, or if it was a home meet?
I haven't thought about that. I don't know. I mean, maybe you wouldn't, kind of heed those lessons, quite as intensely if it's somewhere else. I mean, that's a elevated stage and something where you expect a little bit more, just given the situation. So maybe that makes it hit home just a little bit more. But I mean, we're definitely gonna provide our guys extraordinary opportunities to compete. I'm just right now I'm thinking about this season, and that's it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we can kind of I think it makes sense for us to kind of just cover some of the headlines, if you will, from Princeton. I
Yeah.
know we had quite a few guys there that were competing. 10 finishing in the top 5, a
Okay.
champ at 174, and I don't know, did we have 3 finalists?
4. Yeah, we had 4
4.
finalists. So I think we took 30 or 35 guys. The 4 finalists, what do we have? We had finalists at 165, Dakota Morris, Gunnar Filipowicz. We had Danny Lawrence at 97 and Luke Stoddard at heavyweight. We had a couple other guys like Tyler Morris at 141 got a nationally ranked win. He beat a guy that's been in the national tournament twice, I think. Lucas Stoddard got a win over a returning national qualifier, kid from Princeton. Dakota Morris, man, I mean, he had the kid from Lehigh in the finals beat, just kind of slipped away from him there at the end. And that kid's good. That, he's been in battles with Ben Pazook the past several years, and he moved down a weight to 65. So I thought we saw a lot of positives there out of our guys at the Princeton tournament. So some positive results and some good momentum to take from there. And then, is I'll go ahead and move past Princeton. I'll say Gunnar did a good job. He won the tournament. You should always highlight success. I highlighted a few other individuals on our team, and I'll do it here too. I said Tyler Morris getting a nationally ranked win, and he hasn't gotten a lot of attention. Danny Yurchuk wrestled the best I've ever seen him, and usually what he go 2-2 or something like that. But listen, if you watch this guy work every day, he works so incredibly hard. And to see him finally put himself in positions to win matches against really good opponents, that was major progress for him. So I love highlighting things like that. Like, you're not going to find that. Nobody's going to look at the bracket and say, oh, wow, that was great. But if you know him and you've seen his progress, you got to celebrate that. Tanner Craig is one of those guys that you watch compete every single day, and you're like, everybody he wrestled at the Princeton Open was so glad the match was over. Whether he won or whether he lost, like, the other people were just so happy to get off the mat. And I'm like, I told Tanner, I was like, man, that is Army wrestling. Now we want to clean up some mistakes and get your hands raised in those matches, but the way you represent the program is first class in competition. And hey, sidebar, but today Tanner Craig was awarded in the ceremony the Lieutenant General Hal Moore Warrior Athlete of
Excellent.
Excellence Award. Yeah, so
Excellent.
Tanner Craig is the recipient this year. So great job for him. But back to the wrestling. Yeah, I mean, I thought Princeton was, overall, very positive. And then we're moving ahead to what we got coming up this weekend. We have duels with Lock Haven and Purdue on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we're putting like 30 or 35 guys into this round robin event where they're each going to get 3 to 5 matches on Sunday. Here's what I guess fans would want to know. Very few who wrestle on Saturday will also wrestle Sunday. It's almost completely 2 separate groups. Here's what we're looking at for our duels. Bergen, Basil, like the herb. We're going to go with Keel and Morris weighing in at 41, McDaniel at 49, Luquez 57. We're going to go Harkins and Morris weighing in at 65, Filippowicz and Sheehy at 74, Pazook 84, Lawrence 97, and then Kohlhofer and Stoddard both at heavyweight. And then we'll make decisions as the dual meets go. But look, Purdue and Lock Haven are both really solid teams. So there's going to be like some really fire matches, in both dual meets. We wrestle at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Saturday.
Do you know the order? Who do we wrestle first?
Purdue first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was on the Purdue website to see if they had any projected lineups out, but they don't. But Lock Haven does. I mean, we kind of know what we're going to get with them anyways, but
I haven't even looked. Who do they project at 170? Do you have it open right now?
Yeah.
You do? Who do they project at 74?
John Miller, who's a redshirt freshman, or Patrick Jackson.
I wonder if
who has not competed yet.
Okay.
I don't see him in there projected at all.
Yeah. And they probably have Bassett at 65.
Bassett at 65.
Who's at 57?
Elderfer.
Yeah.
Or F.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
I mean, their lineup is like almost exclusively BA kids minus.
Yeah. Listen, they're tough, man. They do a great job there. Respect for their program. They do a good job. They're really tough on top. They all wrestle a very similar style. And if you're not ready to compete when you go out there, it could be a pretty ugly day. So that's one. Yeah, we have Purdue first, but like, man, you got to turn around and be ready for Lock Haven right after it. So a good day, man. Talk about preparation for the national tournament. There's going to be multiple guys on our team that have NCAA qualifiers back to back same day. So that's great preparation. So we're looking forward to it. So everybody else that I didn't mention will be wrestling in the round robin Sunday. I think we're going to put both heavyweights in the round robin. We're going to put both 41s in the round robin, and Dakota Morris is going to wrestle in the round robin as well. So we'll get a lot of experience this weekend. We'll leave this weekend. Shoot, what's it going to be? I mean, as a team, we'll wrestle 120, 130 matches over this weekend. So it'll be a lot of experience gained.
Yeah, where is it? Is it Bethlehem or is it?
It's in Bethlehem. So one day is at like Freedom High School, and the next day is Liberty or Liberty and Justice, or to be honest, I don't know.
I think
somebody was asking me this. You know what I do, Logan? I get on the bus. That's it.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about this.
I get on the bus and I sit there. So we compete wherever the bus drops us off. That's what I know.
America's team competing at Liberty High School or Freedom High School or Justice High School. Like,
I don't know. We went from Fort Liberty to Freedom to Independence to, I don't know, wherever else we're wrestling. But yeah, this is like, listen, we got to make one of these count. It could not be tailor-made for us any better. So we're ready to go.
Yeah, America's team in America's places, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, let's have America's team actually show out, show up and show out.
Bounce forward.
You can start using that, by the way.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll see if I can get a quick trademark on that. Maybe I'll start using it at work as a test run and see how it works out. But I mean, definitely things to look forward to for, everyone's going to have some tough matches for sure, but Bergen's going to get, one, and I don't know. I think they dropped Ramos down after this last weekend, but either way, I mean, we know what he's capable of and how good he is too. So either it doesn't necessarily make a difference or matter at all. But two really quality opportunities to to get cracks at guys that are definitely at
Yeah.
the top of the weight class.
Yeah, and that's like I said, that's not it. I mean, that's probably going to get the most attention because those guys are pretty highly ranked. But heavyweight's going to be the same way. I think 84, 65, 49. I mean, there's a lot of weight classes going to be very similar to that.
I'm trying to go through the Purdue thing. They do.
You're
They have
doing
like
you're doing my scouting for you. You know more about them than
yeah.
I
They
do.
have a
So.
they have a couple different like they publish different articles with groups of weight classes that they're covering.
Gotcha.
So I'm like trying to scroll through all of them at the same time.
Well, hey, B-Row, while Logan is checking out our future matchups, I mean, I can talk about anything else that's coming up, or if there's any questions that that are what are we up to now? Like 3 dozen? 3 dozen fans? If anybody submitted the question at all.
I think maybe only 3 to.
Oh, we got several questions, but I was hoping
Yeah.
I was hoping the chick would give us a like a scouting report. Usually, like the Wednesday or Thursday before the duel,
Those are always great.
Report of all all the guys. Chicks slacking.
I promise you he will if we just give him the chance. So
I do have a question from Chick, if I could pull it up. He sent this to us today, but he
Logan, your side.
kind of a yeah. Sorry, I needed to do that with my phone to get to the message. I'm sorry, I'm not on my MacBook. Questions for Coach Ward tonight. It's actually just a trivia question. So a trivia question for Coach Ward. Of all the wrestlers you've coached at Army, who has the most wins over opponents who were or would become All-Americans?
Logan, you might be in the conversation.
No, it's not me.
Haywood would have to be in the conversation, I think. Ben and Brian Harvey, probably.
Ben was my pick.
Listen, answer
Luke
will surprise you if we're
It's
doing.
not Luke Weiland. I'm just gonna start naming every weight class.
No, so you hit number 1, which is Rocco Kaywood with 7.
Okay.
Now, parameter of the question is you had to at least coach them for 1 year, which this one may surprise you. Number 2,
doesn't surprise
Jack
me.
Wedholm with 6.
That does surprise. I was gonna say Cole Gracie.
Jack Wedholm with 6.
Let's go, Wedholm. No kidding.
Yeah. I was very
cool.
surprised when he sent that in. I was like, oh wow.
Very cool. I mean, you say you're surprised because like
Jack wrestled 100 matches a year, so
and he
in
wrestled
reality,
a million miles an hour too.
Was Russ on that list?
No.
That's a good trivia question. Thanks, Chick. I'm glad I at least got pretty close to. I'm gonna give myself that I answered that one. So
you did get the number 1.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We had a listener question that was kind of like an open-ended, response. It's going to need an open-ended response, but like, how are some of the incoming recruits? The plebes now. How are they doing?
Well, we just had 3 freshmen in the finals of their first college open tournament, so that bodes well. I think they're doing well, and Basil didn't wrestle, so we know that this is a team that's going to have to develop. And one of the reasons is that we expect to start a lot of young guys on this team. I think they're doing well. Even the ones that you're not going to see in the starting lineup this year are really developing. We have a couple other heavyweights that are, their results weren't stellar at Princeton, but I promise you they're going to develop and they're going to end up being pretty good. With Cook and Murphy and Hitchcock. These guys they're going to come along. But I think it's a strong freshman group. Yeah, with Filipowicz, Dakota Morris is wrestling well. Andrew Christie's at 65, and he's got a ton of potential. Miranda and Hannah, these guys can really develop. Miranda and Hannah are prime examples. They may not be superstars right now, but they can definitely get there. 100% they can get there. Basil's at 33. Connor Collins is a guy that I promise you, so here's what I told Connor Collins in practice yesterday. And he has such a good attitude. He took it in stride, but I was like, hey, Connor, you're a terrible wrestler to be really good. Or I was like, to be a really good wrestler, you're terrible at wrestling. And once you figure out how to be good at wrestling, you will be really, 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 really good. Because he just does things naturally. There's not technique. It's like nothing that you would teach and everything you wouldn't. But I'm like, dude, once you learn how to be good at wrestling, you're gonna be so good. Because he's already good. He does so many things wrong. So listen, bottom line, I like our freshmen. Really, really like them. They've been fun to coach. I think they're going to make a very positive impact on our program.
This isn't necessarily a listener question. It just makes me think. I mean, seeing a lot of high school kids, I guess, have success. I mean, just specifically with a couple kids this weekend at some of the open tournaments, but and then we have freshmen that are doing pretty well, and making a dent in some tournaments. But the main question is like, what is it they're hanging in with, like, the physicality is not an issue? Like, sometimes I don't know what it is. Like, what's the biggest thing that you see that, like, can hold a freshman back? Like, is it experience mentally, or is it the physicality, or what is it, and what are we doing well with those few that
What
we
can
have?
hold them back? I mean, so you only see a few. Like you say, we're starting to see high school kids. No, you're not. You're seeing a couple. Like, how many high school kids entered the Clarion Open?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I'm not.
There was
I'm
like
not a
five or
chick.
five or six. You're only talking about two of them. And now, listen, 2 out of 6 is a lot. I get that too. But all the high school kids that enter the tournament are really highly ranked recruits. Like, they're very good high school wrestlers. And all but 2 of them, I guess, like, didn't make any noise in the bracket. So it's not like you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing the best high school wrestlers are ready to go right out of the gate. That's for sure. But what is it, that freshmen are missing? A lot of it, yes, a lot of it is the physicality, because you cannot replace being strong. You can't you can't technique your way into being strong. You have to be strong enough to compete. So if your body's not mature enough coming out of right out of the gate, if you're not strong enough and your body's not mature enough, you can't do it. That's one part of it. But I think it's just, the expectations. Sometimes I think freshmen wait too long to have expectations to win. And the ones that have expectations for themselves early on are the ones that can make that possible. So there's a big mental side of it as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. That question sparked me because I was looking at the Purdue 157 thing, and they have the Blaze kid that's coming out of high school out of Perrysburg, projected, I think, at 157.
Yep, he's a good wrestler.
I think Perrysburg native. I think Rocco Kaywood.
That's right. Yeah.
Speaking of the devil.
Yeah. Kaywood's getting all kinds of love this episode.
Kaywood Buckkiller, or whatever his outdoorsman Kaywood.
Yeah,
Hammer,
what is
whatever
he?
his outdoor?
I don't know. His Instagram handle jumped around so much there for a while, and that was
Outdoor Hammer.
Yeah, Hammer Outdoors, something like that. Yeah. Check whatever it is. Check him out on Instagram.
Yeah, he's killing bucks, so he's doing something right. Either way. I'll try to get through the rest of it, but really that was all I had for.
Yeah. What else, B-Row? Any other questions pop in?
We had a few about the 3-point takedown. One specifically about, like, has it changed your approach? Like, are you guys emphasizing more on your feet? Has the approach changed at all? With the change, or?
No, I don't think it really changes your approach. It's going to change some decisions that you make in matches, for sure. Like, I mean, it's still imperative you have to be able to get away. Like, you have to be able to get escapes. But with a 3-point takedown, you don't have to choose bottom. And here's why. So go back, rewind the clock 5 or 6 months back, and if you choose neutral in the third period, let's say that guy gets away and you're losing 1-0, and you choose neutral in the third period, you take them down, they get an escape, the match is tied, goes to overtime. Now, if you're losing 1-0 and you pick neutral, you get a takedown, he gets an escape, you win the match 3-2. So you don't have to even out the escapes to win the match. So that'll change some things that you do. And it'll change maybe just like some decisions that you make over the course of a match. And that may be different match to match, depending on how your athlete's looking, how they're feeling, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, etc. But it does not, no, it doesn't change at all really the way that you train, or the things that you put emphasis on. You still have to score takedowns. And guess what? Your opponent's takedown is also worth 3. So it's not like you can't neglect
Yeah.
defense, I mean, everything, it all comes out in the wash. So it doesn't change a whole lot, to be honest. Maybe just some decisions that you make over the course of a match.
Any differences or impact of the 2-hour weigh-in for duels?
Different for sure. Yeah. That part is going to take a little bit more adjusting, because we're used to being on a 1-hour weigh-in. Like, we have our system. We do the same thing before every weigh-in. You can't use your pre-weigh-in workout as a warm-up as much as you could before, because you sit
Right.
around for, another hour before you compete. So it'll change a little bit there, but that's a good change. I my thoughts on it. I think weigh-ins either need to be at the mat, like mat side weigh-ins, or hours before. Like this 1-hour weigh-in, you're caught in this no man's land. It's not fair to the athletes. It's just not, it's not conducive to the best wrestling that you want to see. So weigh-ins either need to be mat side and you step on the scale and you compete, or they need to be at least 2 hours before competition or more.
Yeah.
So I'm in favor of, lengthening that out a little bit. Mat side
Yeah,
weigh-ins are
same.
never
I
going to
mean,
happen, but
I never understood why you would go from a 2-hour weigh-in on day 1 to a 1-hour weigh-in on day 2. It's like, I don't know. I never thought it made any sense.
well, you want me to tell you why? You have fewer competitors. That's why. So there's fewer people to weigh in. And that is
I mean, if you were to take it as a percentage of the time spent at the weigh-in, it's like, doesn't even compare.
listen, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just telling you what the NCAA's logic with it was. Yeah, I mean, what's the
Yeah,
difference? You're
silly.
going to weigh in. You go from 32 to 24 the next day at the NCAA, 33 to 24.
Yeah, how long does it take 8 people to step on the scale? Not an hour.
I'm with you on that, but there's a lot of things about our current weight management system. I say current; it's not really current because it's been in place for 20 something years now. It's archaic. It's an archaic weigh-in system. Yeah, that makes
sitting.
absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah,
Did you guys do any
I get it.
like simulation matches, like weigh-ins, like before before the first competition, to like measure that out for the 2-hour weigh-in or at all, or what? I don't know.
Yeah, but you know what? But I don't think maybe we weren't that intentional about making sure that the weigh-in or that the warm-up was set, just like a dual meet. We did a series of simulation matches and weigh-ins leading up to competition just to kind of get ready, just as training. But that's one thing that maybe until we got to North Carolina, I was like, damn, we should have thought about that. Like, it changes your warm-up a little bit. So
How did it change your routine as a coach? I mean, it was what you spent 9 years doing it the other way. So
yeah,
what did you do? What did you do with the extra hour? Like just
I could just show
walk
up a
around.
little bit later. Yeah, eat more Cheez-Its. I
Yeah.
guess, yeah. You sit around the locker room more, and it's just an hour, and that extra hour you try to stay away from your athletes and let them do their own thing without you getting in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means I get dressed an hour later. That's it.
All right. That's all
Yeah.
I got.
Well, that was pretty hey, for listener questions, that wasn't too hard hitting, B-Row. I thought people were going to come at me calling for my head after, we laid an egg down there in North Carolina.
Let's see how it goes this weekend before.
Yeah, we're not out of it yet.
We'll lead the charge if it's gonna happen. We'll lead the charge.
I'll lead the charge, man. But no, I'm confident in these guys. Like, we've had some really great workouts this week. Oh my God, yesterday you should have seen it. Like, I mean, yesterday was one of those where it's like there is nowhere to hide. Like, you want to hide somewhere, but it was like there was nowhere to hide. Yesterday was brutal. It was awesome. Just love watching the guys work that way and respond. Fires me up as a coach to watch them do it. So hopefully, they can draw some inspiration from that and then take that, take that into competition with them. Let it mean something to them in competition.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah. But man, I guess let's plan on getting together next week. We got so much wrestling going on this week. And then next week we're back at it. We have the NC State at home on Thursday. And then we turn around, we have our Black Knight Invite on Sunday. So this is like, we are off to the races right now, man. There's not a moment to breathe. It's like, we are in it right now. So yeah, 100 and something matches this weekend, then a dual meet, and then a tournament. This is the best time of year, so we'll have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, short week next week. Prepping for NC State.
Yeah, it's about 7 days, but a quicker turnaround.
You're the worst. You're
7
the
days from
worst.
now, but I'm saying like, weighing on
Yeah.
Sunday, for those guys, it's like, you're coming back less on Thursday.
You gonna tell him, Logan?
No.
Yeah. It's just a quick turnaround for some more matches, BHAW. That's right.
Oh God.
Well, look, man, I appreciate being back with you guys. It's good to see you. And Brian, you look great. You've obviously been working out and like living clean. You look great. Logan, you're well rested. Yeah, you look great. Looks like you've been sleeping through the night. You need to get up and help out a little bit more.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
If I could, I would.
Yeah, understood. But I'm probably not
Yeah.
the first person to tell you that.
Oh no. Certainly not.
Yeah. And thanks to our dozens of loyal listeners out there, man. Wrestling season's back, and we're no longer talking about the season that's coming up. We're talking about the season that we're going through. So thanks for sharing it with us. Stick by these guys, believe in them, because I do, and they're going to make you proud. Look forward to seeing a lot of friendly faces this weekend on the road in Bethlehem, PA, and then Crystal Arena next Thursday, November 16th, 7 p.m. If you can't make it, it will be on Flow Wrestling. The same with our Black Knight Invite, November 19th. If you can't make it, it'll be streamed live on Flow. So hope to be seeing all of you guys soon.
That's for NC State and Black Knight.
That's right.
What's this weekend on? Do you know?
They're usually with Flow. Frank uses his own like Turnaflex software, but they're usually streamed on Flow. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Okay. If we can figure it out, we'll post the link on our stuff for everybody.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, if there's any listeners that are going up on Saturday this weekend, I'll be at the Purdue and Lock Haven matches. So if you see me, come say hi.
Let's go.
Hey, maybe you could get a recap in person, BHAW.
Possibly. We'll see.
We might need some Matt side reactions.
We'll get some content this weekend for sure.
Okay. Well, thanks, Coach. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks
appreciate you guys. See you next time. BHAW.
BHAW.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.